That, of course, being rank inflation. Now, for a brief summary of what exactly rank inflation is when too many people start reaching higher and higher ranks, thus making them less and less prestigious, and overinflating the perceived quote-unquote value of a high rank. There are unfortunately some players who might be in your matches who don't actually belong at your rank. As we all know, you're able to climb ranks in Marvel Rivals with a negative win rate. Word on the street, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen any confirmation of this, but there have in fact been reports of players in GM who in some rare cases have win rates as low as 46 and 45%.
This game has a lot of people in the high ranks, and that's because you can literally climb up to Celestial with a 50% win rate. You gain more than you lose all the way up into Celestial. And then once you get to Celestial, don't get it twisted. Low Celestial is still inflated because you gain and lose the same amount. Now, if you have a below 50, you're gonna drop immediately. Now, before y'all say, oh, he's speaking from experience, he's also an inflated Celestial player. No, do not hit me with that. I've been Celestial since pre-mid-season patch, like 2 weeks before the fucking shit ended. It's just that I've been hard stuck. There's a difference, bruh.
Marvel Rivals has a huge rank inflation problem, and we're now catching on to the ramifications of the flawed system, as well as not following through with the rank reset. Although this is a pretty big issue for those that actually care about being competitive, for the majority of the player base, they couldn't care any less. For those of you that are unaware, Grandmaster now has the second largest number of players in it behind that of Gold. This is sparking debate online because Grandmaster is supposed to be one of the highest ranks in the game, and this kind of fabled rank that people like just attribute to being a good player through old games like Overwatch. That said, the Grandmaster rank in Marvel Rivals is equivalent to that of Masters in Overwatch. Now that is how it's supposed to be, but you can't really equate the two because Overwatch has placement matches and performance-based MMR, if I remember correctly. Marvel Rivals doesn't have those, and there's also the Chrono Shield system that softens the blow for lower tier players when they lose. Now, if that wasn't enough, the final thing that Marvel Rivals has adding on to this ranked inflation issue is what I believe to be the worst of them all. And it's the fact that you don't start losing more than you gain until around Celestial. The common talking point that I hear online about this issue is accusing other players of being boosted and telling them that they don't deserve their rank. I personally don't agree with this line of thinking because it's not really anyone's place to discredit anyone else's achievements unless they're being toxic themselves in game chat. But I totally do understand those that share that same sentiment. You know, somewhere along the line in society, people just decided that it wasn't cool to try things that they weren't instantly the best at. Like, everyone wants to be the best, but no one wants to try. And when somebody does try, they're kind of looked at as lame from starting from the bottom. And that is some more, you know, general shit, but I believe that to be what's going here from a person-to-person perspective. Everybody just wants to punch down, so to speak. And I'm in no way a snowflake-ass nigga that thinks every player in GM is just a good player, and I'll never deny that some of them are objectively tossing games with less than a 50% win rate, but you'll never catch me in someone's comments calling them boosted for flexing what they worked for. Now, the main issue with this rhetoric is that people are condemning other people for just playing the game and ranking up, which should be the goal, but we've lost sight of that at this point. Lots of these players are objectively bad at the game, getting into high ranks, but that doesn't really warrant them getting looked down upon because that's more of an issue with the system that we have in place rather than the player. Alright, but now that you kind of know what's going on, the main question we have to ask ourselves is why? Why did NetEase make the rank system this way? I personally think that NetEase made the system the way they did to farm playtime and engagement. I think it's great that NetEase is trying to make it to where everyone feels like they've achieved something worthwhile, but there were a lot better ways to go about it, and I'll get into that later in this video. There have been videos circulating on TikTok saying that such and such rank is now low elo, and a lot of the comments have some of the same concern that I had. If said rank was great a couple of weeks ago and now it's quote piss low, when does the goalpost stop moving? Some more things to ask are what's actually considered high elo and why does any of it matter in the first place? I personally think that the goalpost stops shifting around high eternity, but I've heard people in eternity and one above all speak of there being massive gaps in skill between the uncapped ranks as well. Being a Celestial player on two different accounts, I personally think that low elo is anything below GM. And that's kind of a crazy statement, but the genuine skill difference between a Celestial player and a high diamond low GM player is insane. I currently have an account that I only play with one of my day one friends, and it's at a 100% win rate in mid diamond right now. I genuinely do not see myself losing a game until I hit maybe GM2, but that's a whole nother issue that this game has in unranked to GM content. Now don't get me wrong, I used to be a really big fan of unranked to GM shit when I first started playing Overwatch, but now that I could literally make that content myself, I see it a bit differently. I still believe that there's so much value in watching an unranked GM as a beginner, but in my opinion, there isn't really much to learn past that stage of your you're playing and shit. Like once you're a beginner, you do not need to watch that shit no more. A lot of the concepts that people cover are really basic, but they're performed to an insane degree, and that tends to give viewers the wrong impression. You could put me on an alt account playing Thor only, and I would win every game until maybe low GM, no matter how mechanically well I played, because I just fundamentally understand how to win games that those lower level players just don't. I would like to believe that being a Celestial player, I have, superb mechanics and game sense, but it's truly just knowing how to win the game. A lot of times I simply win because I just don't make mistakes that a GM player would, and that allows me to climb out of GM pretty quickly. That being said, let's look into what I would do to fix the rank system for the future seasons. And just to clarify, I don't really care if these things get changed or not, because I don't feel it affects me as much as it did when I was just learning the game. First off, I would add 10 placement matches at the beginning of each season, as well as a mid-season rank reset. I'm no giga nerd ass nigga that understands rank systems and bell curves or no shit like that, but I feel like this would be a really good first step in evening this ranked distribution out. Secondly, I would remove the Chrono Shield for plat players, because I truly believe that once you get those rank skins, it really doesn't matter what rank you are, honestly. Thirdly, and probably the most important change, would be to make you start losing the same amount that you gain in Diamond and losing more than you gain in Grandmaster. If I'm not mistaken, this would be just how the system is now, but just shifted one rank lower. The final change, and one that I haven't heard many people talk about, is adding an unranked queue. Now, I've been playing Siege since Operation Wind Bastion, and I think adding in an unranked queue was the best thing that they've done for the game. Not only do you not have to deal with the anxiety of ranked play, but you won't have high elo players just stomping goals trying to learn a new character. Now, the smurfing debate would be a whole nother argument, and that'll be another video soon. But I swear to God, if I see one person in my comments talking about just play quick match,
I will fuck you like a pig.
My final thoughts before I get out of here is that the price of ranked inflation is coming at the expense of players that are benefiting from it the most. Do with that what you will, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.
Now, are you a rusher, or are you a dragger, or are you gonna be on my fucking time?
I'm gonna be on your time.
What does that say?
Quarter note equals 215.
Count me at 215.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jesus fucking Christ! I didn't know they allowed reach into Shaper.